Why is it that so often when we watch a show, it just passes us by, leaving us completely unimpressed, unchanged, thinking it was just meh, or even worse, flat out awful.
You have not seen what I have seen.
And then there's these rare instances where a story really grabs our attention and doesn't let us go. Even afterwards, we keep on thinking about it. And we don't know why, we just know we love it. Today we're going to talk about such a story, specifically the episode Bad Traveling of the Netflix show Love, Death and Robots, and we're trying to figure out what makes it work. I got 3 major points, 1-minute summary, let's go. The crew of a ship is ambushed by a giant man-eating crab. After killing a few crew members, including the captain, the crab goes to hide itself inside the cargo space. Ooh, that's spooky. Our main character, Torrin, first mate, so he's next in charge in a chain of command.
You know what the chain of command is? It's a chain I go get and beat you with till you understand who's in rotten command here.
Well, he is forced to investigate under deck and finds out that the creature speaks. It actually negotiates with him. Who? It basically wants to get a lift to the nearest island to feed on its human population. The crew is undecided whether to fulfill the creature's wish and sacrifice a whole bunch of unsuspecting people, or if they should try to trick it and sail to a deserted island in order to protect those innocent people. Because of various quarrels, our main guy Torrin kills one crew member after the other, feeding them to the crab to satiate its hunger and buy some time. Oh, and to satiate its offspring, yeah, we find out that the crab reproduced. Wow, what the fuck? Eventually leaving him alone with the creature. He then sets the ship on fire, killing the crab and the offspring and getting himself to safety on a rescue boat. That's it. This story is ruthless with time. We go right in the story. So, here comes the little intro screen. Just saying, oh, ages past, oceans. Jable Shark comes in later, so it's not unimportant. But then we go right into the storm. A few seconds later, boom, crab comes. So, immediately into the story. These people, they don't want to tell a story that's slow at all. They don't want to get into any character introduction or anything. They go right into the action. There's a boat. It's getting attacked by a crab. Boom, boom, boom. Crab comes in, kills almost everybody. It's OP, it's very violent, it's brutal, it's awesome, good fight scene, and blah, blah, blah. And the crab goes into hiding. No wasted time. And then...
Go on, man.
They choose to pick a straw. Who needs to go down there? You gotta think about it. What happens next? This story presents you with a solution, not with a problem. They already talked about this and thought of any way that they're gonna handle this. They're gonna pick straws. You could tell a story where you choose to give like character introductions while they complain about what will we do now? Oh, we got this crap here. You can figure out who's the coward. You can figure out who's the courageous guy, who's the diplomat, who like you can actually figure out some of the constellations of the characters. But this story isn't interested in that. They will bring you along. They will just give you the hard solution. Like this is ruthlessness with time. And that's just one example or 2 examples, like the start. They go in right away. They don't waste any time. They got 20 minutes and they pack it. There's many times where this happens, and this episode does it exceptionally well. They just go on and on and on and on. They don't lose any time. They don't show nothing that they don't want to show. I just gave you one example. You might find other ones. Second point, the acting. Duh. Of course it's good, but we're gonna talk specifically why the acting, in what way the acting serves the story. Because you could act it in many different ways, styles, or like emotional levels or whatever, but they choose to do it in a specific way. And how does that serve the story? We're gonna find out. Just to give you the setup, the crew is drawing straws, clearly to decide who has to go down to investigate the crab. You can see it in the reaction of those who pick a long straw. They are relieved. Then this guy draws. And...
So, now that we've chosen a leader, I will be picking who goes.
He rigs the game. You can see it in the crew's reaction. They are disgusted or confused, but even though the big and Russian guy, for some reason, I mean, clearly the writers are some bigoted bastards, so even though he rigged the game, they still go along with it and throw our main guy, Torrin, under the bus. Quick reminder, Torrin is first mate, so he should be in charge. Yeah, he gets betrayed.
All right! All right. You needn't manhandle me further. I go willingly.
Yep. Now that's a strong guy. He goes in like, all right. Well, he's okay. Of course, he's a little anxious, a little pumped. Okay, all right. He's a little angry. How angry? We might find out later. But then he calms himself and he goes like, "You needn't manhandle me any further." He's like, oh, and that's Troy Baker, of course, the voice actor with his super vibrant, nice voice. He doesn't have a too deep voice, but he's got this very sweet bass. So it's like this, "You needn't manhandle me further." I think I'm gonna get that pretty wrong.
You needn't manhandle me further. I go willingly.
Yeah, he's got this really vibrant, nice voice and very calm. That's the thing about this acting episode. It's very calm and it really serves the story. And now he sees the crab. Wow.
Beg your pardon. Take me. Oh my.
Oh my. It's so calm. So calm and easy. He's completely out of it, but like stays cool.
But first, you and I must come to an agreement. Most importantly, I am the only one who can keep this ship on a straight keel. Me, you need intact, unconsumed. Do you understand?
So nice how he finds his footing there and goes up in status. It's like, me, you need intact. So well done, and it's a different kind of era and speech that they are portraying there. It's an era where people actually knew how to talk. That's very fine for a change. So, and he talks in a very, very demanding way, which is, of course, like he's kind of bluffing there because he has nothing, but he actually feels there is some kind of way. Again, the story, it has to do with the character himself, but we don't know the guy yet, which is part of what's coming next. It's not about having anything like an emotional drama. It's not emotional drama we're seeing here. It's like very harsh environment, very harsh people. Like they're not emotional. They're really, really in dire straits, and they just negotiate on tough levels. That's very awesome. And you see that portrayed by Troy Baker, and especially Troy Baker, in a masterful way. But of course, it's David Fincher who directed it. He knows how to tell story. With him, it's always the story goes first. It's always the story, and the actors just serve the story. But still, you get amazing performances out of it. It's not like they're just puppets and dance to the tune. It's really coming all together.
I negotiated with it.
Okay, coming in. I negotiated with it. Very strong. He needs to be fast. He's like very agitated, of course. And again,
As you must now with me.
as you must now with me. It's mwah.
Listen carefully, I am in no mood to repeat myself. The thing speaks.
You had a conversation with a crustacean.
Which I haven't the patience to explain beyond saying that it wants passage to the nearest island.
We saw that.
Very nice. It's natural thing the characters have to ask, like, what, you talked with a crustacean? Of course, but we don't want to get into that, and he's saying that for us, and actually very like well put. It's a nice language. they really crafted this story well. They wrote it well. It's like, which I am in no mood to further explain, other than that it wants passage to the nearest island. Better than me now, because I'm not fucking English native speaker. You might notice. It's all very calm and collected. It's like story driven.
Fine, we shall put it to a vote. Each of you will have equal voice. It will be a secret ballot with no man knowing any other man's choice.
Oh,
You will
bonus
privately
point.
mark.
Bonus point. Story is not woke and no modern sensibilities. He said no man will know any other man's choice. And there were women present and nobody was offended. Oof, can you imagine? Fincher. Well, so what we see is with the acting, it's very poignant, it's very fast, but still calm, and it's unemotional. Very important for the story, because it's not about high amplitudes. It's about getting straight to the point. Point number 3. It's hiding the actual premise of the story from the viewer and revealing it much later into the story. What do I mean by that? Okay. Just in the middle of this whole thing, they hold this vote. Do they take it to the island? Do they not take it to the island? Do they sacrifice those people, those innocent people, or do they try to trick it and risk their own lives? Okay. He was putting it to a vote. They voted secretly, and now he comes out.
I begin with a confession. By a folded corner here, an irregular edge there, I made each of these ballots unique, unbeknownst to anyone but myself. I have succeeded in ferreting out the cowards in our midst.
Yes. So he's saying he really said it's 2 cowards. 2 people who voted for fulfilling the creature's wish. This is what we're going with. Then he shoots 2 people, those 2 guys, those brothers. And now you think, well, the traitors are gone. We are united in cause. Then later.
I lied before. I didn't actually mark the ballots.
And now we get the truth. When there's only 1 guy left, they killed all the others. I mean, he killed all the others because they tried a mutiny and it didn't work. Okay. Now he's telling the truth.
I didn't have to. Every one of you made an X.
Well, they all voted against this guy. So he was alone the whole time, and he knew it. Everyone voted against him. He was the only one trying to deceive the creature and save those innocent people on Faden Island. And now the real premise gets into play. And this is what makes the story so good.
Succeeded in
now the same situation is like, of course, afterwards you piece it together because you think, fuck, this guy must have been through hell in those 5 minutes where he counted the votes. He's coming out so calmly and confidently, I figured out who's the traitor. But they completely deceive you. He completely deceives everybody. And so he hopes to buy himself time by shooting 2 people, and of course he's gonna hit the right ones.
Excuse me?
But they think, ooh, he missed the guy, or like, because obviously they were the ones who filled it out themselves, but they think, okay, I'm not gonna speak to anybody because obviously I'm alone now. So he tries to buy himself time and stop the mutiny, which is eventually gonna happen anyways, but he kind of only tries to buy himself time. And now you piece it together and think, wow, this must have been real hard. This little sesh where he counted the votes must have been stressful. Now we get the real premise. Okay, what's the premise? Premise is basically the backbone of the story, or the idea. You start with something like, what if? What if there were actually ghosts and a bunch of people who are actually scientists try to stop them on their own because nobody else would believe them. Okay, boom, you have Ghostbusters. So that would be a premise. And we think at first the premise is, what if a monster is hiding on your ship, like ambushes your ship and is hiding on your ship and you cannot do a thing about it? already very cool premise. We think like, ugh, that's a messy, sticky situation. You don't get out of it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go under? You're just gonna leave it there, but it will come up at some point. It's just like it built himself a new home with your ship. Like, what the fuck? Good premise. But then we find out the real premises, the deeper layer of premise is actually, what if you are the only one of a crew that knows what has to be done, and all the others are cowards, and you need to find a way to do the right thing, even if you have to kill your crew and potentially even yourself to do it. That is one man with a complete resolve against everybody and against time. That's an interesting premise. And that is only revealed later, that he was always sure what to do. And he was always ruthless in how he did it. And now we can speculate about why. And that's what makes this interesting. Because we don't know, we don't get everything. It's hidden from us. The real like substrata of meaning,
substrate of our ethos,
is hidden from us. We don't know what the characters think and what they're going through. We just see how they're dealing with it. And then later it gets revealed. And then we can speculate about it. Because what I think now is that this guy, Torrin, is in fact just angry and betrayed. He, of course, knows what the right thing to do is. But I think he's really hurt by him being the next in line, in chief in command after the captain dies, and they just betray him. They're so cowardly that they just betray him and go with the big guy who says like, oh, now we're chosen a leader. And that's really bugging him. And now he's on a mission, and he's gonna feed everyone to this crab, and he's gonna burn the crab alive. And we don't know that. And now the bonus caveat that I was talking about. This story is masterfully crafted, and it's hiding things from us. It's well acted. It's very purposefully calm and collected, and it's ruthless with time. So it's very straight. It's 20 minutes, man, and 20 minutes packed with action and intrigue and horror and drama. Okay, but could there be one thing that's better? I guess so. I'm gonna tell you what. Now, the confrontation in the end is, of course, the climax, the big finale, where the guy tries to kill the beast. And we don't really know what's gonna happen. We don't even know that that's his plan, but we're gonna quickly find out. He slashes the barrels.
The meat is greasy.
There goes the oil. And then he sets the thing on fire and he flees. Very cool, cinematic. It's like, wow, a tentacle is trying to grab him. And he's going to make it. Getting out. And he's done. And he's done. That's a big confrontation. And I think that's a bit anticlimactic. For the big finale, we could have had a little bit more back and forth. So what if? That's my suggestion. Now a quick disclaimer. While editing this video, I noticed that what I'm about to say next might come across as arrogant. I'm fully aware that the changes I'm suggesting are something that the writers probably thought of themselves, but ultimately found out that they wouldn't work. The whole point of me trying to think of a different ending was that as an artist, it's kind of frowned upon to only criticize without offering an alternative. So take this section with a grain of salt, if you will. This fight actually didn't turn out or work out the way that he planned. He has his little monologue and says, the Jabal shark, but the oil. And then he slashes the barrel, but there's water coming out. And he's like, what the fuck, where's the oil? And the crab hit the oil because it's kind of sentient. Obviously, it is sentient. It knows about Faden Island and it's talking to him. So now he underestimated the crab, and he's like, fuck, he knew about the oil of the sharks? Why? How? And then he's like, fuck. And then he needs to flee, gets chased by the crab. It's a little back and forth. It's a little hide and seek game, maybe a little tension here, a little quiet moments there. And then by chance he finds the stash of the real oil. And then he can do the same thing that he just did and burn the whole thing. But this would do two things. First, the fight would be a little bit more interesting because he just goes and does the thing. And of course I can say with all my points that I made, it's straight to the point. It's the direct way to the conclusion of the story. Okay, fine by me. That's why I still think the story is awesome. But what it would do with the character also, it would put a little wrinkle on our main character, who's very ruthless and quick and witty and very cunning. And he thinks he knows what the right thing to do is. And he goes literally through all his crew to do it. No regard for his fellow humans. But he also has a point. They should not unleash this creature on the island. It's a moral choice, an ethical dilemma that he's faced with. And he thinks he's taken the right choice. But he's very arrogant with it. And that, if the creature then kind of almost tricked him, and maybe if Torrin was one step behind, maybe then he would have questioned himself and think, maybe I was too arrogant. Maybe the other people were kind of right. I just thought I could trick the creature. They knew better. So it would actually do something with the character. It would weaken his resolve a bit. So it would show that he's maybe been a bit too arrogant. And that would be a nice wrinkle to the story. That I would appreciate. And in addition, it would make the fight a little more interesting. In my opinion, like it would make a more climactic fight. Maybe you disagree, maybe you agree. I would like to know. Now, quick bonus. There's this one little nugget that really bugs me. Let's see. They try to open his door and they use the blade of the knife instead of what you should use, what's called the spine of the knife. Why you use the blade? It's a freaking precious commodity, a sharp knife or saber. Don't do that. Just turn a thing around and go with the spine of the knife. These are just some points on why the episode is absolutely masterfully crafted. There's just everything working together, from omitting certain story beats or like important character motivations, from hiding that from us, to acting in this very calm and reserved way despite having all this trouble around you, and being very short and concise with time. It's all working together to tell this story of ruthlessness. This is the word that comes to mind. It's ruthless. And we don't have a lot of stories like this today that are just ruthless and straight to the point. And I want you to think about these things when you watch media in the future. Like, what is it telling us? How are they portraying us? Could they tell something different right now? Why do they choose to tell this one? This is just me and my 2 cents. What's your favorite Love, Death, and Robots episode? I have a few in the stash that I want to make some reactions about. So you tell me. And I hope I see you in the next one. On to the next.